Hey guys, well, it's been a while, but a little project arrived on my door which I thought might be interesting. I've done a couple of these in the past, and so again the owner of this asked if I would be able to refit the back, but of course a chair of this age has been repaired multiple times before, so the first thing we want to do is see what shape the rest of the chair is in. And so I don't know if you can see this, but it's pretty wibbly wobbly, so it's fair to say that most of the joints in this are not fixed and rigid. So hopefully I'll be able to remove the seat, which should be held on with a couple of screws if nobody has been over enthusiastic and glued it, and then check the rest of the frame. See where we go from there. Not sure what sort of glue this had. This looks more like filler of some sort than glue that was used last time around or in the past. Curious. So a couple of hours later, here's what we got. At least two different people were repairing this in the past, and the last person who did the stringers used epoxy to glue the front two joints here, but didn't use any glue on the back here, or if they did, they didn't put very much, because a quick tap of the hammer and it just came open. On the other side, the two front joints are epoxied and it's globbed all over the place. The lower one at the back is not glued, but the top one is glued, and it's and it's very weird because the stringer is loose. You can wiggle it, but I cannot pull it out, and I have used a lot of hammer force, and I got a clamp in there trying to push the two parts, and so I can only assume that what's happened is there's a big sort of there was a pool of glue inside the hole here, and it's actually held on by the end surface, the end grain of the stringer, not the side, because as I said, you can move it around in the hole, you just can't get it out of there. So that's that. I guess the lesson there is, if you're going to use epoxy, then make sure you use it everywhere so the damn thing never has to come apart again, because taking epoxy joints apart is no fun for anybody. Okay, for the top here, I've no idea what that substance was, but the nearest I can think of is it's kind of like one of those cheap wood glues that never actually dries hard, because the stuff was like a plasticky consistency. And so on this side I think we're good. It's a clean, if you like, original separation here, and the hole is in a reasonably good condition. Over here, however, we have a much more messy situation. I think I got most of that white stuff off, but yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence. They mate pretty well now, especially on the good side over here. I'm just not confident that if I just, glue all this up. There's a lot of glue surface there, but since when people pick up the chair, they'll sort of tend to pull it back. I'd kind of like that to be done properly. So I guess worst case scenario, I'll have to cut that off completely and just start over and make a new piece to go on the upper part. It's a lot of extra work. For the stringer on the bottom, I'm going to sleep on it. I'll come back to it tomorrow morning. But the only option I see right now, without doing further damage, would be to cut that stringer right at the upright, so I can get this whole thing apart and fix up the rest. But then I'd have to make an extension bit for the short stringer, so I could fit it back in and then give it, let it play its structural role again. So there we go, that's where we're at this point. Time for a break. So next day I decided to bite the bullet and saw off the problematic stringer, only to find that the problems just go from bad to worse. So here is one which I thought had a good joint at this end, and it just came out no problem the other end. But in fact, as I'm sure you can see, this one is wiggly loose as well, but it won't pull out. It's got the same problem as the other. This one was also wiggly, but I did manage to pull this one, and sure enough there's like a big blob of glue in the bottom of the hole. So I think in most cases it's the glue, the blob at the bottom of the hole that's holding these things in. The two on the far side seem to be solid, so at least there's that. So I gotta get this one out now. See where we go from there. Well, drilling that turned out to be a nightmare. The minute I touched the plug here with the drill, because of the woodworm was so bad, the plug just sort of shattered and disintegrated into a shower of dust. So I basically had to chisel out what was left as best I could, and then just run a Forstner bit down to try and clean it up a little bit, but you can still see a lot of the glue down the bottom. Same in this one here. So yeah, okay, I need to make the extension. What worries me now is to put the extension on the stringer that I cut. If it disintegrates when I try and drill it, man. Okay, I have to think about that, because to put the extension on the stringer that I cut, I was going to dowel it, you know, drill a hole down through the center of it, put a small dowel, and then okay, reflect. So I think it's fairly obvious, if I try and drill down through the center of that stringer, it's just going to shatter, or there's a high risk it'll shatter because of all the woodworm. So I will try the hot arrowlight and see if that works. It might get me enough just to be able to drill it without it shattering, and that's all I need. Okay, so I've popped the old arrowlight in the top there, heated it up with the heat gun so that the viscosity reduces and it sinks down into the woodworm holes, and it went down a little bit, so hopefully I will have enough here that I can file it flat when it's hard and then drill it without the whole stringer shattering on me. We shall see. Leave this for a couple of hours and come back. So the epoxy seems to have done the trick. I was able to fill in all the holes and file it out flat and drill a hole. Mind you, I did go 1 mil at a time. I did a mil, 1.5 mil, 3 mil, 4 mil, 5 mil, and then I'm going to put this piece of threaded 5 mil rod in there and epoxy that tonight. And then tomorrow I'll fit the extension plug over it, and then we'll be getting ready for a dry fit. Wow. So here we are next morning. So the my pin is all nicely glued in there, and so I found a 15 mil piece of dowel, hardwood dowel, put a hole in it, and we shall epoxy that on there and then file it to shape. And there we go with the old extension onto the stringer. So dry fit looks good. So I guess we'll move on to the glue up stage, at least to get the base of the chair secure, and then we'll get on to the back. So the screws for mounting the seat are incomplete in that one screw is missing. The one that was there is it's not as thick as the original, and so it's not going to bind as well in the hole. I don't have anything better at the moment, so we'll just run with it. Worst case scenario, I'll have to plug the hole and re-drill it, but they de-rusted nicely, I'm pleased to say, thanks to the old evaporust. So yeah, we have enough to be getting on with. Right, all glued up, seems to be sitting nice and square and level. So I think we're gonna leave this now for 24 hours to make sure it all hardens up nicely before we go looking at fixing the back. Well, this is the best I've come up with in terms of a glue up clamping setup. We're real good over here. This mates nicely. There is just, I think, over the years with multiple repairs, there's wood fibers missing over here. So that's going to have to be filled. And it actually sits more accurately this way without any vertical clamp on it. If I try to clamp it, because the top is further back than the center rail here, it tends to push the top of it back, which tends to open the joint even worse. So I'm nervous about gluing it without clamps, but as I said, it's the best fit, so we're going to give it a go and see how it goes. Okay, this is what I came up with for finally clamping. So just some high-tech tape, keeping a bit of pressure on it so that they stay together. And in 24 hours we will know if it worked or not. So, a couple of days later, I think we're done with this. Another one saved from the landfill, and hopefully it will give its owner some more years of useful use. Very pleased how this end turned out. This end was always going to be it was never going to be pretty because of the damage, and I might do a little bit more stain work to even out the color, but it was like that when I started, so I don't feel so bad around the back. I think it came out pretty well because actually the surface is lined up much more accurately around the back. And so once I got it all done, I just had to put a few little pieces of filler and then stain it up, and we're good. So yeah, another chair added to my list. And actually along the way I found out there's two more that need some work, but I don't think I'll be doing it because it's literally the webbing has had some damage. Now, redoing the webbing is way beyond my skill set, but I may be able to do some patching just to stop the damage going any further. Anyway guys, there we go, that's it, a wrap on this one. I hope you found some of it interesting. And like many of us in the world at the moment, I'm under complete lockdown. I think the only stores that are allowed open here now is the chemist and the grocery store. Period. And that's it. I guess I'll be heading out to the supermarket sometime during the week, and I'll see whether or not things have changed in terms of people panicking or not panicking. They've been pretty good over here, so let's hope that continues. Anyway guys, that's it for now. More to come. Cheers. Bye. Oh, and I forgot, everybody stay safe and keep your distance and all that stuff. Important.